We're joined by Matt Pyzdrowski. Thanks for coming on. I mean, we know you're only in the U.S. till Monday. So thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, so you just signed with a team in Sweden. Excuse me, I'm just pulling this up here.
How do you pronounce it?
Ängelholms.
Ängelholms. Okay.
You just signed with the Ängelholms. What are you most excited about playing with them?
I think the most exciting thing for me is getting an opportunity to play every single day. Last year in Portland was a great opportunity for me, for a rookie to kind of learn, what professional soccer is all about. And I think this year it's an opportunity for me to go somewhere and really start to build my own resume, get games every single day and just grow as a player and as a person.
Now, I'm sure the style of play is a little bit different over in Sweden compared to the U.S. What differences have you noticed as a goalkeeper, and how are you adjusting to them?
To be completely honest, the Swedish league and the U.S. leagues are actually fairly similar. Obviously it's a different culture over there. There are going to be some differences, but it is a very direct league, which is very similar to the league I played in last year with Portland. However, Ängelholm, they like to play proper football. They like to build it out of the back. They don't just like to play long ball. And that's something I'm very comfortable with and very used to because, that's how we played at Marquette and that's how my team played at Portland last year. So to be honest, it's actually going to be fairly an easy transition, minus the language, but everyone over there speaks English anyway, so that makes it a little easier.
That was going to be our next question. What do you think is going to be the hardest part about transitioning culturally into living in Sweden?
I think the toughest part is going to be, being a 9-hour plane ride away from, friends and family. The good thing is I've been over to Sweden twice in the past couple of years, so I know what to expect with the culture and the food and the living and everything. And obviously being over there, you're just a Skype phone call away from everyone, so it makes it a little easier. Obviously all the technology that's available these days. But I think the toughest part is not going to be having my family at the games. Looking up in the stands, seeing my mom and dad, and it's definitely going to be different. But at the same time, I know they're going to be following along and staying close. So,
I mean, we know if your family's not going to be there, there's certainly going to be a lot of fans who are excited to see you play. And obviously, the atmosphere of playing in Europe is a little different. Can you kind of talk about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think the MLS is growing tremendously here in the States, but I think over in Europe, there's just so much more passion about the game itself. Over there, for the most part, you can have a game that has 3,000 fans that is louder and more excited than over here with 20,000 fans. There's just so much more passion, within the game over there, and as well, just so many more opportunities. A small country like Sweden, which has, the population about of Chicago, about 9 million people, and they have, Chicago has one professional soccer team, and Sweden, the whole country, has hundreds. So, and obviously it's spread out a lot more than Chicago is, but if you look at per capita, it's, there's so much more opportunity, even just in a small country like Sweden.
Now, you spoke a little bit about the how football is, like, the atmosphere in Europe. What do you think is coming back to the U.S., what do you think the biggest misconception about football is here?
That it's a soft game, and that it's easy. I think that's the most misconception from just a casual watcher. A good example I use is my own dad. He went to college himself and played American football. It was competitive and it was something he loved. And when I grew up playing soccer, he wasn't really a fan. But as I got older and he watched it closer, and I introduced him to the EPL and La Liga over in Spain, he just became a huge fan. And now he's a convert. He absolutely loves soccer and just how tough it actually is. And how physical. And today he actually enjoys it more than American football. So, I mean, that's just because it's close to me. That's an example I can use. But I think just the general population, it kind of just gets a bad rap. And I think as well, you know, we have sports over here like American football, baseball, basketball, which we consider our own sports, you know, in America's pastime. So we grow up learning all about it and the publicity. And I just think that, you know, soccer, it's still probably about 10, 15 years away from, you know, where it is the rest of the world, but it's definitely it's growing, and you know, to be honest, it's very exciting to watch, and even in the last 5 years. I mean, I remember when I first came to Marquette, and you know, the MLS was not considered a quality league, you know, abroad, and now I go over there, and you know, and people respect it. I mean, it's definitely changing, and it's definitely growing.
In relation to that, I mean, for people that don't watch as much soccer as, you know, the Matt Trebbies and the Josh Concons of the world, like Sarah and I don't, but do you think that the World Cup has helped with that, kind of to defray that stigma, especially in the U.S.?
Oh, absolutely. I think anytime you have nationally televised games, you know, with quality football on TV, I think it only helps. You know, the World Cup, I know the European Championships are played on national TV. You got the Champions League, you got the EPL, you got La Liga. So, I mean, it's definitely growing. It's getting exposure. And I think the toughest thing is you got to find people who know the sport to try and sell it to the rest of the country. And, you know, soccer is such a small community, to be honest. And it's kind of, you know, it's like a little fraternity that, you know, everyone's a part of. But I think the biggest thing is kind of reaching out to those people who don't watch and really explaining to them, you know, what's happening. Because if you just put them in front of the TV and they're just sitting there and just watching the ball go back and forth, you know, it's very easy to get bored and lost. But if you start watching the positions of the players on the field, and not necessarily watching the ball, but watching the runs that, you know, certain players are making. The outside backs are making 90-yard runs up the field just to get the ball. I mean, it's there's a lot going on there that a lot of people and the casual watcher just will not